Picking up right from where we beat up the giant robot man. I've kind of already forgotten everything that happened in the last episode. We got the rest of the dungeon ahead of us, and we are going to be doing that all in one go right now. No Japanese version. It's going to be all in English because, you know, you remember the last dungeon.
Yeah.
You remember every dungeon, right?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I probably do. Like, it's one of those things where if you showed me all the dungeons, I'd probably have a pretty good recollection, other than maybe the first one.
Yeah, you weren't there for the first one. First one was the dungeon. Yeah, it's a shockingly even at the time I was kind of remarking that it's like these are dungeons created from the imagination. They can look and be like anything. It's weird that you would choose to make a literal like medieval dungeon be your first your first palace to go to, but that is what they chose.
Yeah. And I think it's actually a decent choice. Like, I mean, it's a stylistic choice, so they probably did a good job and just poorly wrote it. Like, they didn't give any good reason for it. I guess he's like a dungeon because he doesn't treat people well or some shit.
He's a king of a castle, but the castle also has a sizable dungeon. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, oubliette.
There was also the giant. That was the whole thing where I also keep remarking on this that it's just like Kamoshida. I still think is the best written arc in the game so far.
Okay.
It's like it is. There was a lot of stuff to that. You got to see like not only the dungeon again, which was the practice areas and everything. You got to see his chapel, which was the gymnasium, a giant tower representing his penis, and a lot of symbolism pulsing in and out of the walls when you got into that part too.
Wow.
That was easy.
Yeah, and you'll also see over the course of this dungeon that they did kind of like they're getting a little bit lazier with the dungeons. I'm gonna be honest here.
Well, they just
kind of disappointed.
Some of these, it was like they just reskinned. Like again, I think they gained a lot of inspiration from the sand room. What about it, level in Super Mario 64? This feels like, this actually feels like that level of Super Mario 64 with the like where you gotta like go to the top. You know what I'm talking about?
The tick-tock clock?
Tick-tock clock, yes, thank you.
Oh, I don't know. That one's a lot like whenever I think of that, I think of brown and yellow.
Right, but they reskinned it. That's it.
I mean, there's more than just this,
Okay.
but it doesn't really quite reach the same sort of thing. One of the things I've noticed that they've really done away with is the like super distorted areas later on, like the gigantic pulsing tower, of course, and Madarame's golden void, if you remember that one.
No, I do not.
It's just like and then Kaneshiro. Oh, no.
No,
we were teleporting around.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes, okay.
Yes. It is dungeon, museum, bank, temple, I guess. Yeah, I call it
weirdly
temple.
The dungeons kind of do not run together nearly as much as the actual characters they're representing.
Yeah, really. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, Persona 5 is a prison cell for me, so I am only too familiar with all of the nooks and crannies and the cockroaches and mice which scurry along the ground. Like every inch of rust on each one of the bars. So I remember all the villains very well, but they are all terrible. I mean, it's just like that's certainly nothing that's been improving over time. All right, but anyway, yeah, it's like we're trying to figure out how a scanning device works. This is the sort of thing why I didn't really want to, go too heavily into the whole Japanese portion of this.
Yeah, this is a little bit like,
where it's like
explaining how IDs work to
in a video game.
Yes.
In a video game of all things.
Yes.
Doom back in 1993 assumed that you would understand the blue key card goes to the blue door.
I feel like even then it was a little bit of a cliche. Like 1993 feels a little bit late for that because like if we found that in flashback, we'd know exactly what to do. Like, we think it's a simpler time, but I mean like Mist, You know, I mean, like all these games are kind of mid '90s. It's like you think like that idea of just
I would still say early.
it's
90s,
Hitchhiker's
actually.
Guide to the Galaxy. Shit. You could just you have a red key. Oh, there's a red door. What do you do?
It goes to the red door. It's like you have a locked door. We need to have like literally somebody who was a family member to open up the last door. But now we're just gonna go beat up a few robots. It is still, oh god, that is the thing that really bothers me about this story arc so far. Is just that, man, they made no progress.
How do you mean?
Like it, Haru and Morgana apparently did nothing. It's just that, I guess it always comes back to the fact that it's like nothing ever happens without the Phantom Thieves. Even other Phantom Thieves can't accomplish anything without them doing stuff.
You're right.
Also, I just want to point out that this strongly implies that you're going to have to go out and find a high-ranking employee, and it's like, nope, just right over there. And then and they announce it. It's like, okay, this red robot looks really useful. It probably has a red key card.
Yes, probably has a red key. I'm just glad that we are at least fighting one of the milkshake head robots because I like the design. They are. The design is still pretty good, even though I think, this dungeon overall, it's just it's techno base. Even the music is not quite as good as like some of the previous ones.
Feels kind of unmotivated in general.
Sort of like we're just in between dungeons before we get into, Najima's.
Yes.
Sort of. Just a hunch, really.
But you get the sense that even when, like, this is kind of a recurring theme with this game is that, they're always building up to something, but even when that thing arrives, it turns out to be more underwhelming stuff. Like, so...
Yeah, I mean, it's that, and it's also like the characters dialogue it to death.
Yeah. Like, I would be...
And then undead. They beat that horse when... It's like, do you not get that this is a bad place to work? Hey, I think that Okamura might be a bad boss who's overworking his employees. That sort of thing.
Really?
Well, but then again, it's just like, maybe we should give Yusuke the benefit of the doubt. We're still not entirely sure if Okamura is a bad guy just yet. We'll have to make that judgment ourselves as we get a little bit farther into the dungeon.
Also, I just like that this is a really interesting villain. Like this milkshake man.
It's like, I like his design. I honestly thought that we would never even fight him. Like he would never appear past the first opening cutscene.
Well, that would waste the assets.
Yeah, true, but
is that too cynical?
I don't know if they care as much about wasting assets when it comes to the actual dungeon.
Okay, yeah. And
it's like for talking to NPCs, it's just like, oh man, you're gonna talk to that the pink vested pervert guy over and over, as if I forgot about that scene just yet.
So this is the what level of difficulty are you on for the American version?
For the American version, super easy mode.
Okay.
However, I haven't like upgraded anything or like even tried to get new Persona, so I guess it's at least like in some ways there's a slight challenge here.
Okay.
That's only because I'm so underprepared literally for everything. Because it just, punched my way through every enemy. Don't worry, you're not really going to miss out too much compared to the Japanese one. I was still able to blow through most fights, no problem at all, because in, the harder difficulty, I was very prepared. But hey, if you were ever wondering what the actual battles and everything look like when it's outside of the Japanese version, here we are.
By the way, this is just a set.
On today, this most vaunted episode, the Sweat Cast. Yeah. It's just so hot out here.
Yeah, well, if I had to use a visual metaphor here, or I guess just a tactile metaphor, it's a little bit like if you were 7 inches from the midday sun or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, and where he just sitting here speaking the words that melt everyone, or at least that's what it feels like.
Yeah. But we're staying so smooth. I do like that in our voice. We do.
In the sense that I suppose we're like a chocolate bar left out 7 inches from the midday sun.
Yeah, I suppose so. Just.
Oh, it's a horrible day for Sunday.
Like if they actually, you know, if
It's ever a good day for Sunday.
if like one of those like those rabbits, you know, like the Easter rabbits or something, you know, like the chocolate bunnies kind of thing. If they were like 3-dimensionally fleshed out, but then you left it out in the sun and then you kind of like cut it open and like looked at its vocal cords, which are photorealistic. I guess this is like a photorealistic rabbit that's just made with chocolate, and then you melt the chocolate and then you look at the vocal cords, like you dissect it, and that's why we're smooth.
Yep, exactly that. I mean, we all know that rabbits can make some pretty ungodly sounds when prompted to.
Is that true?
The vocal cords are, I mean, there's something.
I did not know that.
Oh, if you go look up like a video of rabbits screaming, and you'll be like, oh,
okay.
oh man, that is far more intense than I thought it would be.
Yes.
I suppose, yeah.
Like when those guys get into trouble,
Yeah.
oh boy. Like you would not think of that from such a small, mostly unassuming animal. Corpo Robo. I like the name. Also, hey, color variants, I suppose. Not that it really matters too much. We've already... I mean, just even mashing through the dialogue, I already know this guy's weak to wind.
Uh-huh.
I am not even trying to, like, look into this or anything. I'm just mashing X. I remember at the time I was watching E3 so, when I was recording this. So I was just like, oh, well, I guess I'm sort of interested in the new Ubisoft Mario and Rabbids thing. The first game was good. And it's just like, oh, yeah. Wind. Yep, got it. Yo, but really, that first game was actually pretty legit.
All right.
What is it?
Let's do it.
Mario and Rabbids. It's a Ubisoft created game with the raving Rabbids characters and Mario with a gun.
Mario?
It's a very toy-like gun.
Okay.
Yes, Super Mario.
Wow.
Keep an eye on your
It's actually like really good. It's like sort of like a XCOM turn-based strategy type of game. And it was way better than you would have thought. Had a soundtrack by Grant Kirkhope
Oh.
at his Grant Kirkhopiest.
Yeah, and that sounds like that's actually really good. Yeah, okay. I'm a huge fan of Grant Kirkhope, actually. Like, I don't know if we've talked about it on the stream, but yeah, like, seminal works of Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong soundtrack. Absolute
They're pretty fantastic.
Stone Cold classic. You can listen to them today, and they hold up as, like, just music to listen to.
Of course, I always liked a lot of video game music, so what can I say?
For me, like, yeah, I always liked video game music, though those, like, stuck out. I was like, shit, that is really good. Every song on that Banjo-Kazooie soundtrack. Like, I have to say, like, I work, like, I do some, like, music stuff and just, like, all these really obscure modulation. And, like, oh, okay, you know, Greg Kirkhope did that in the Banjo-Kazooie soundtrack, and it was just, he just played it off like it was normal using the vibraphone. And that's not easy to do.
Super, just go throw on like Rusty Bucket Bay, and it's still a fantastic song.
Yeah.
Furnace Fun, I think, should be like one of the standards for any sort of game show music in video games.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You're gonna use it for anything. Always use Furnace Fun. That's a great trick.
Yeah, for Furnace Fun, that was just a great part of a...
Shut the fuck up, Makoto. This is episode 76. I know to stop playing when I feel tired. Holy Christ. They always throw in those little things here. It just incenses me so much.
I see.
It's like, yeah, if you didn't get it, guys, you don't have to keep playing forever.
Like, they needed to...
This is...
somebody on their team said, we should do that just in case they're getting tired.
I mean, it was the same thing with the Kaneshiro Palace, where she's just like, hey, did you know that we can hit enemies' weaknesses? And I'm just like, I can't even react to this. And I can't even say exactly how irritated I am that happened.
Like, you played Rogue, so it's so funny, just like, or NetHack, or just any of these games that are...
I played both Rogue and NetHack. Never really got too far in Rogue, though.
Indeed.
But like...
It's like, yeah...
you have probably invented systems that you just wrote down and never told anyone. You never told me about them, probably. Like, here's a
Yeah,
game system.
but that's because I work 40-hour work weeks and I get bored.
This is awesome.
Same thing with all the many complaints about Persona 5. As I think I even said last episode. Anyway, this guy's weak to psychic powers or whatever.
Boredom. Keep it coming.
Also, they're just reusing this. I don't know. I really thought this would have been unique to the fiancé guy.
Oh, this is the same boss?
No, he's got a mustache and a green color instead of a white one.
Oh. Yeah, it's totally
Otherwise,
different.
yes.
I don't know why you would think that they yeah.
100% separate from the two characters. Of
I have
course.
to say, I am always getting taken by imposters and grifters in my own personal life, so maybe they are different. Maybe they aren't different. Maybe
Yeah,
it's just
it's
the same
true.
person. But
I'm also bad with faces.
Mhm.
I mean, to very embarrassing degrees. I could tell you stories on this here, the Sweatcast, where we talk about embarrassing situations and it's so goddamn hot. I don't know if it's getting to you just yet, but I'm like sitting here and I'm like, oh god, I'm really feeling it, man.
well, face blindness. I didn't realize that was a real thing, but that is actually like a whole like category of. I mean, I don't.
Oh, that is like an actual. I'm not talking about like face blindness. I'm just talking about being stupid.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. Yeah. It's. No, I'm just. I don't pay attention to important things, but I pay attention to all of the lore in Persona 5. You know how it
Yeah,
goes.
I know how that goes. I mean, it's so important. It's so well written. It's so well crafted.
You hit its weakness.
I can't not pay attention to things in video games. That's just how it is. I'm a lore hound through and through. What can I
Did
say?
you know that the Duel of the Fates? You know that those lyrics are like. Did you know that they're like
lyrics?
a Sanskrit like translation of a Welsh poem about like the Battle of the Trees?
Was that graceful?
No,
Okay,
not at
because
all.
I just learned that today, and now you all know too. Like I was wondering.
Great, that's more useless knowledge. Now I've already forgotten the faces of all my coworkers.
I was like, is there some reason that this fucking song includes Yoda as a lyric? Yoda, Matara, Yoda.
I don't remember there being lyrics to that song. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, it was like, like a chorus in the background singing them in what might as well be Latin. I mean, it wasn't intended to be understood, really. It was just apparently.
Why not just use Simlish then in that case?
So,
which is the official language of The Sims, by the way.
So
Baba Boopy.
Yeah, there's a great video of somebody doing like John Mulaney, the comedian, in Simlish, and it's the funniest thing ever. Just like doing his.
That does not surprise me
Yeah.
at all. You would be the sort of guy to do. Also, you can look it up. There are videos of the voice actors doing the voices for like the dogs.
Uh-huh.
You know how they have their own like emotions and everything like that,
Yeah.
and it's like that. It's very good.
Okay.
It's like you just see a guy and it's like, yeah, he's doing it, man. Because of course you can't get a dog into the recording studio and be like, okay, now give me a sad yelp.
Well, that's against the rules.
I mean, that would be also incredibly hard to record,
Yes.
and especially at any sort of quality.
Uh-huh.
But it's like I would highly recommend checking out some of the recording studio videos
Okay.
of that,
Yeah.
just to see. It's just like, man, like no, the guy really did it. He was really doing it.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
I mean,
You can tell that we've been recording for 20 minutes already,
Well,
and I'm just
so
losing.
just go back to that. The reason it was in Sanskrit, because there's a reason. I looked it up. It was
There is?
Yes, John Williams wanted the vowels to sound a certain way in the language, and I guess John Williams is such like an actual craftsman in all the ways that. I mean, nothing against George Lucas. I'm not like this isn't like
Yeah,
Look, that building is
that's kind of what I was thinking,
We're
to
not
be honest,
close.
because when you were talking about that, I'm like, that was not a George Lucas decision.
Yeah, like it's like he's such an artist. I mean, he steals from in the same way that George Lucas like stole from Kurosawa. Like he steals from like,
Oh, would you really call it stealing?
well, I mean, in the artistic, like in a good way. Like John Williams steals from Gustav Holst.
The difference between an homage and a ripoff.
Like, you can't listen to Planets and be like, oh, that has nothing to do with Star Wars.
And I was actually just listening to Jupiter the other day because I wanted to make a reference in a Binding of Isaac episode. And then Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me?
I'm the same way.
Why do I just say that and I'm like, wait a second, that's not something a sane person says.
That's something a sane person said. See, that kind of sounded like John Mulaney doing Simlish.
That's not true. No,
Okay.
no, it can't be.
But yeah, no, I do the same thing. Like sometimes I'll only read a book, like it's like that. It's Always Sunny referencing
To make references to it.
references. But
Okay, so I did actually read the entirety of Dead Souls, so I could make a reference to it, and that's
that's good. I haven't read that, and I wish I had.
I wanted to do an episode where I wanted to do an episode on All Souls Days. I talked about Dead Souls while playing Dead Souls.
Okay, that makes sense, but it's also it is a little bit.
It doesn't. No, I want you to look me in the eyes, even though you can't. We're not actually speaking to each other face to face. And tell me that makes sense. Also, I didn't do it in the end. I missed the day.
That is,
Hell of a book, though.
Well, I mean, it's a good book. I've read like 100 pages of it. It's like that's Gogol.
It gets worse after like the first half where Chichikov gets ran out of town, and then just only parts of the second half of it even remain. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
It's that kind of novel.
It's a
Sort of like how Don Quixote, for example, was split up into two like distinct novels, but the second one was created as a reaction to somebody else making fun of the first one and writing their own sequel. Novels are weird.
Yeah, and
sometimes.
Now that you're saying it out loud, you're realizing that this is actually not insane at all. It's actually the norm. This is how art is created. Like what we're doing, this whole pettiness to review this whole stupid game, that is exactly the kind of motivation. Except the
yo, we're not trying to do this to review. I did not want to review this game. I wanted to celebrate it when I started. Remember, never forget that.
Yes.
Never forget that this started out as a celebration of Persona.
This was supposed to be a prom.
Just like the name says.
I mean, it kind of was. I was so excited.
Do you think it's related to that escape?
Oh, I was so excited, and here we are at episode 76, and I'm stripped down to my underwear and drinking and talking to you and doing this terrible episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been having a good time.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, just reminiscing.
Some good stuff, yeah. Talking about the good old days when I still had hope for Persona 5.
Unfortunately, this is almost the exact opposite of what you would imagine a utopia to be.
Almost identical to the company's
Yeah, isn't that weird? And also, I don't like the classic type of mechanical needles that just poke cargo. Find them in every GM plant.
Well, it'll all be under control if we can trigger that.
It's kind of how that goes. It is still weird to hear the actual English voice actors here. I'm so used to the Japanese ones at this point.
I am not used to
Not
either.
that anybody did a bad job or
It's
anything.
actually really
Like,
weird
unlike
to watch your videos occasionally on these and just see the voices.
the early Persona, where I was just like, oh, I know that the beginning is always kind of slow and it'll get better.
No match for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literally, again, we reference this a lot, but the Mystery Show where, the pre-taped Colin show, where he's literally like losing hair as the sketch goes on.
Well, I had already lost all my hair before I even started this channel, so.
Oh, okay.
Not literally.
Okay, that's fair.
The baldness came early. I mean, well, the partial bald. You know what?
Yeah, I know. I understand.
Male pattern baldness. It affects thousands of men every.
It actually
year
affects
or
a
something.
really shockingly high percentage, given that the media is always trying to shame you in order to sell some new treatment. It's really fucked up.
Don't get me wrong. I would definitely get back my hair if I could.
Yeah, it's appealing.
If I could shoot myself with some sort of hair enlargening ray, I would. Which is, I assume, that's the only thing that came to mind, and that's what I'm sticking to. Enlargening was also the only way that I could describe it.
Wait.
I could have said like hair plugs or something, but no, we went with hair enlargening ray.
Yeah, of course. And it is a ray. It's a laser.
I mean, there is like laser stuff related to hair, right?
I think so. I don't really know.
That's for getting rid of hair, but you know.
Yeah.
But
you can do a lot with lasers these days. I think you can remove tattoos with lasers too, right? That's a tattoo.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you can fix your
I don't know how exactly that works.
eyes.
That's definitely like probably the more relevant one.
You can silence someone forever, their vocal cords. I feel like that was done in a movie at some point, where they just like.
I think that was done in an episode of Twilight Zone.
That might be like you run the laser across somebody's throat, or
Oh, not that. I'm talking about another reference to something.
Okay.
An episode of the Twilight Zone. I don't know. Hey, there was a new Twilight Zone. Did you ever see any of those episodes of it?
I did not. I'm curious about it because Jordan Peele was really like he made Get Out and then Us, which are both like Get Out is a great movie and then Us is a very good movie.
I spotted a shadow.
Show me your true
Yeah, I heard that it's just like that one a little bit more uneven comparatively.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, he hosted it, but I also heard that it's like, it drops off in quality real quick, and even the highs are not that high.
Well, the thing about the Twilight
I don't know,
Zone
I'm
is you
just
always give it a
curious.
lot. I mean, it's well written. It's Rod Serling and stuff. It's just like you're willing to give it a lot of benefits of doubt. Like there are twist endings. Twist endings do not hold up that well. Like if you know they're happening.
Oh yeah, there's a yes. I mean, twists, of course, are something that of course, breathes new life into a narrative by making you look at it in a different way than you did before. But it's always one of those things where it's like as soon as you know it, a truly good twist means that the piece of media that you're watching before you know what the twist is and after you know what the twist is both high quality.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not always the easiest thing to maintain because you're basically writing two stories at that point.
Honestly, some of the best twists are just where it turns out someone you thought like was dead was alive, or someone you thought was alive is actually dead. Like it's just this horrifying realization, but it doesn't really change any of the the plot. Like it's like, oh, okay, this is a techno dystopia. Either way, it's just it turns out the main character was dead or something. Like they died.
Something
they
like
died.
that. I mean, I don't know. I just think of like when you there are some twists that it's just like when you watch a movie knowing what the twist is versus without it, it's like there's still two good movies.
Yeah.
But then it's like there's also the David Cage thing where it just comes out of fucking nowhere
Or
and ruins the entire
Or the
narrative.
Usual Suspects, where the twist is amazing, but then you go back and you're like, do I really want to watch this again? Like to prove, like I might want to watch it to prove they didn't like screw you over with the twist, like it wasn't just complete bullshit.
But I mean that means that there was a lot of thought that went into it, That's I would actually say that like Usual Suspects is one of the better ones in that respect because of course you're still invested in the story of Kaiser Sose, and then it's like when you realize what the twist is, it's like you get a different perspective on it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, like I would not like say, oh, that's a bad movie. It's just no, it was written so that you would have, but it was explicitly everything about it was written so that the twist would, I mean, you can't go back and like watch that and be like, oh wow, this is a really good movie.
That's a thing though, where it's just like I've seen a lot of different, especially games that like have one pretty good twist, and it's like the rest of the game not all that great. I think especially of like little indie RPG maker type of games. It's like there are some ones that it's just like, oh yeah, that's interesting, but it's like it doesn't really excuse the fact that the game doesn't really have too much of anything else in it.
Yeah. In fairness, though, if it's only going to take me like an hour to play, then you can get away with it. I think. Like it's like who cares? Like okay,
I suppose
the hour is well spent.
The Wii Silent Hill game was like that. I remember. It's very eye-rolling otherwise. But that's just my opinion on it. I know that it's just like, it's fairly well regarded, all things
Is that the
considered.
one
It's
where
just,
you like give the drawings and stuff and like you have that psychological assessment?
Yes, that was the psychology where the game changes based on I was not impressed by it.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
That's my reasoning.
Well, that's a twist. Like, if they did it in an indie game, I would be impressed. But if it's just like a major studio game at a console, then yeah, no, that's.
Oh, it is hard to say if that's a major studio game, considering that it's like, boy, Silent Hill has gone through a lot of stuff.
I'm actually not familiar with the history, but yeah, that makes sense.
Tossed around to many a different. I mean, they had Team Silent creating the first 4 games, and that was kind of like the you know what you knew as that's what most people think of when they think of Silent Hill. And then it's like then it was tossed around to a bunch of different studios, and you had stuff like Homecoming, which had cool visuals but was otherwise kind of a mess, or not Homecoming, I mean Downpour. Homecoming was just the one that was bad.
Oh, okay.
Show me your true form.
It's Origins also, one of those things where it's like, hey, we're gonna explain stuff that does not need explaining.
So, just out of curiosity, would you say that the only Stone Cold classic was Silent Hill 2?
No, I actually probably prefer Silent Hill 1.
Oh, okay.
Silent Hill 2 was another sort of twist game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like it kind of like, look, I still very much like that game, and I still think it's very good. It's just I do think that people trying to chase that same twist, especially in like games that were inspired by it and everything, just like, come on, it wasn't that good.
It's a decent twist.
I do not want to besmirch that game because it is very good, but it's just like, I do think it might just a little overrated.
And
I don't. It's like I do not want to insult it because it's just like it really is a very good game. It's just this is me. Yeah, but like also just a little bit of criticism, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I understand.
Well, it's a good thing nobody watches the series to throw my words back.
And I really don't think like you're saying, oh, it's
when I get really into a game that has a kind of subpar plot but a good twist, and you're like, hey, remember what you said about Silent Hill 2? And I'm gonna be like, damn it.
I'll reveal your true form.
My own words doing me in.
Does that actually happen to people find your words? Like, well, you said this about that weapon, and now you're telling me that...
Oh, I have a terrible clinical anxiety.
Oh, that makes sense. I didn't know that.
Right.
To assume even that people would care is clearly a symptom of that alone.
Well, I mean, you do have a viewership. I mean, it's at least not completely irrational. I mean, and
if I was like super huge, maybe people would be holding me to my stupid hot takes I make occasionally.
Well, I mean, they are nerds. I mean, sorry.
I don't even know if it's that hot, really. I mean, I still very much. It's the sort of thing, like especially with when I was talking about Hades and everything, where it's like I just
Is there a safe room around here?
look. The problem that I have with Hades, for example, that it is very it is very based on like. You're intended to do many runs to have things unlocked and everything, but it's just like that's not unusual for any sort of roguelite. And it's like it's a problem, I think, with a lot of games, even like Dead Cells, which, there's a lot of content on the channel about that. But I don't know, I just think it's especially bad in Hades, even though I still got like 80 hours off that game and everything.
You mean the fact that it hinges on like a plot? Like the plot was pretty threadbare?
No, I think the plot was just fine.
Oh, okay. So...
it was the permanent unlocks, things like only being able to get to new types of weapons after X amount of runs.
Yeah.
You can only even unlock chaos boons after 3 runs and everything. Your first run is pretty well decided as to the exact gods you're going to be meeting, with not too with some with variation. But it's just like it's a game very much based around like a more linear type of play style than a lot of other roguelikes, except that's not true because a lot of other roguelikes have that same thing.
Well, honestly, it's one of those things where
it's just a little bit more set in stone in Hades, even though. But it's just like I don't really want to besmirch the good name of that game because I still think Hades is an absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. In fact, the only thing I think they could really seriously improve on if they did like an update, or if they did like a, God forbid, like a sequel, is like they could do something where they have different areas, because probably the most frustrating
that is another thing. It is very linear.
Once you get to that point where you've already done it 100 times, it's like, okay, well now I've got to go through the underworld, or Tartarus, Then I gotta go through the, I think that, I forget, like Asphodel, yeah, and then I've gotta go to Elysium.
Asphodel,
Like,
Elysium, and whatever the... What was the maze area with Outsiders?
That was the Styx, I think.
Oh, that was just Styx? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, that's a common thing in a lot of those video games where it just like it gives you different options to go to. But to be honest, it's like more often than not, people, usually just pick the one route to go through because,
Yeah, it's the easiest one. In fact,
one of them is easier than others.
Well, I do think like Dead Cells does a pretty good job of that, where they do give you like serious options, and you can take the easy option every time, but you don't necessarily have to.
True, but it's also like there is an easier option comparatively, and it doesn't really give you too many, like a truly bad demerits, reasons that you don't want to. Whatever I'm trying to think of. It's like you can just go through the promenade to the ossuary to the Stilt Village to the sepulcher, and it's just like that's the standard route, at least for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose, let's be honest here. If you're playing the game for the first time, you're probably not going to go through the sepulcher, but that's aside from that.
As a relative novice, one of the things I like about roguelikes as a genre is that typically you can almost always, have a more difficult zone to go to, or anyway, in general, a more difficult choice, as long as you incentivize it with more power later. Like, okay, you're going to go through the cursed sword, but you're going to be amazing power for doing that.
Well, they have made it better as of recent updates. Oh man, are we gonna turn this into like the Dead Cells cast? Weird. I just did like an episode on the kind of. I'm gonna be honest here. It's kind of subpar weapon, the toothpick, earlier today, and it's just like some of the changes that they have. I mean, especially with the Cursed Sword most recently, are pretty good. Definitely make Cursed Sword a lot more powerful. I'm not even gonna argue that. It's just, God, you still die in one hit. I've always held to the idea that, man, the Cursed Sword is way too devastating to actually use.
Like at a high level of play. Yeah, like, I mean, you can...
I would say any level of play. You die in one hit.
Yeah, I'm
gonna do it eventually.
On a game where... So you've never beaten it with a Cursed Sword?
No, I've beaten the game with a Cursed Sword before, but I never used it only using a Cursed Sword, like throughout the entire game.
Okay, yeah.
I picked it up. I've beaten every single area, every single boss without getting hit and everything like that, but I haven't done it in a single run with the Cursed Sword.
That makes sense. Yeah, and it's like with the traps and stuff, you can get a really good, run going without even needing your sword.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you know.
Yeah. I mean, even without well, you got to remember that swords are melee weapons, and there's many a type of character that can only attack in melee. So it is. It's difficult for more reasons even than just you die in one hit. That's obviously the big one. That's the biggest hindrance when it comes to doing a proper Cursed Sword run. Of course, that's also why I say it's just like if you're ever there's an achievement for beating the game with a Cursed Sword, just do it on low cell difficulty and pick up the Cursed Sword right before the last area.
And I just want to point out for just the game, I'm like watching this. It doesn't seem like this is terrible. It's just kind of a little bit monotonous. All the puzzles kind of look the same, and
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's it's not as the design for the dungeon is not as interesting as a lot of the other dungeons. It's just when I even looked up like at the ceiling earlier at one point, it was just kind of like the same texture that you see on the left there on those boxes, kind of copy pasted. It's and obviously we're not really getting any sort of like big plot revelations or anything past the fiancé fight that we did earlier.
Yeah.
Everything else is just sort of, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. And yeah, if you're wondering, this fight is certainly not any more difficult in the max difficulty version. Get it? Because there are, I think that Okamura might be overworking his employees once again.
We're gonna kill them. No.
Well, I mean, yes, but also yes. I like they all got the Ultraman eyes. That's cool.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with anything. It's just an observation.
Why do I have these night vision?
I think that's probably the inspiration for a lot of this stuff. Wouldn't surprise me if the ultimate boss for this area is more or less an homage to that. And shut up, Futaba. I don't need your help. Really, though, I barely ever need her help. I don't know. It's like
great now.
I guess it's nice to have like more of a role
Like a tactician.
that the tactician character has, but also
Two shadows knocked down.
it's like more often than not I don't actually need it. Also, boy, Haru's axe is just terribly clipping into the ground. I've just noticed. It's like, boy, that's pretty bad, man. Maybe it's supposed to be that she's like chunking it into the dirt or something,
Yeah.
but this is like, somehow I have my doubts.
Man, Haru's so arbitrary.
I know, you know, it's like, I remember thinking it's just like, I don't know, Haru seems to have some interesting stuff going on at this point in time. You know, being like the daughter and like sort of a bigwig type of character. But it's, I feel like, yeah, as soon as we found out that she wasn't that she just kind of followed Morgana into a place and got a persona, and
Come on.
that's kind of her entire story.
Yeah.
Sit down, Noir.
And it's like, it's like, yeah, I see why people think of her as one of the most forgettable party members.
It's just like
It's not really.
okay, yeah, you're only important because Morgana like gave you the royal jelly, so to speak, gave you the
Ambrosia.
yeah, the magic. You go in with Morgana, yeah, of course you're gonna be important.
Yeah, and it was all it's all just incredibly
Like
arbitrary.
they
but-
onboarded Haru.
yeah, but I mean that's how they do every one of the
Yeah, of
characters.
course.
Nobody gets chosen to be part of the group. They force their way into it, which is why it's always so tragic for Mishima. It's just like he could,
Yeah.
but he actually respects them too much to just follow them into a palace.
It seems.
It's so sad.
He could just be one of the members if he just had that.
Yeah, if he was more of an asshole,
Yeah.
he would just be a member right now.
Putting it lightly, I believe such
But
an
he's
action
not.
would be
He actually like respects their privacy and what they're doing, so he doesn't get to be part of the
The
team.
fool.
For like 30 seconds if you keep
The
your
fool.
eyes and mouth shut.
Truly the real moral of the story.
Mishima is the only good. I mean, he's not even like good. He's just like, a little bit. He has some decent qualities.
He's. I mean, it's it is like. Yeah, I've talked about that before, where it's just like Mishima, as a character, it's sad that he has to follow the Phantom Thieves because there's such assholes.
Yeah. Like, and
He cares so much.
people think that we're.
He cares so much, and these are the people that he's following.
Yeah, people think we're kind of joking when we say Mishima should be like a main character or a really important character. It's like, well,
I was never being unironic with
what was
that.
that?
No, I was never being ironic
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
no, and it's like,
The opposite of what I said. Look, it's very hot.
okay, but yeah, like, the point is like,
I always ironically thought that Mishima was of a. God, it's just the fact that he actually has done things wrong.
like you have a personality, you have things that you're atoning for, you have like deep flaws as opposed to just being.
He
too-
actually has like a tragic character because he's so adherent to the Phantom Thieves,
Yeah.
and they just use him.
That's right.
It's sad because he's totally a capable guy and everything, but it's just like, yeah.
I mean, that's how you build a good hero. It's just you.
that's
You
that's how
have
you would build a good hero,
a
except
very flawed person who gets through it all and pushes through it all and eventually improves the world or tries.
becomes a better character in the process. Instead, we get this guy,
Yeah.
All right.
The
and
total
he's
non-entity. Like, what is this?
plain mashed potatoes.
We could do the red letter media thing, but it's like, what is Joker's character if stripped of
Yeah,
his
but it's like that's entirely that's not even like something that just happened because of bad writing. That's entirely intentional on the part of the developers.
We beat
Yeah, because if he has too strong a character, well, then you're committing to too much. Is basically how I see it.
Well, then you can't do the wish fulfillment thing. But it's like they also don't want to write dialogue for people giving like meaningful choices.
I mean,
this ain't exactly Disco Elysium. Let's just say that right now.
well, and the thing is, I feel like giving main characters flaws, I think that's part of wish fulfillment, because you don't wake up like one day having no flaws. Like, I think if you're really gonna do wish fulfillment, you should take somebody who has a lot of flaws and show them getting a lot better, like almost instantly.
Well, at the same time, you don't want it to be too harsh because it's just like, this is you.
It's true, but they can make it a little harsh.
It's like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Point is, we're never going to get that sort of character regardless.
Yeah, it's a hopeless dream.
I was thinking about putting the Japanese version of this because, this is actually kind of like a for-real fight, but I'm going to be honest, it also was not all that much more difficult in Japanese version. On the higher difficulty. It was a pretty simple guy to take down. I have actually been watching a playthrough of Disco Elysium recently. Saw that with the other guy showing us that many moons ago, but it's like, I'm just like, you know what is the deal with this game? And it's like, oh man, it's actually very good.
Yeah, the rating is just off the charts good.
Oh, it's great. Boy, it's and like just the sheer detail you can get into with dialogue, which is kind of random NPCs who barely even have names.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if I'm ever going to play it myself, but I definitely respect it.
I need to finish it. I've only played it for like 8 hours. It feels like there's some, like, I can tell you, like, some games you play for, like, like this game, I still don't know. I know what its vibes are after so many hundreds of hours, but it just doesn't feel like a real place. It feels like, oh, that was when they made that game that was really artificial and contrived at every point.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talk about that all the time with the same basic, just how many characters exist in Tokyo? Like 70 people?
Yeah, and it's like, but with Disco Elysium, I feel like, I only played that for about 8 hours, but it's like, it was an intense 8 hours, and I feel like it was all writing, too. Like, I can go back to that, and I'm like, oh, I had...
What sort of build did you end up going with?
Yeah, it feels like a strongly characterized place.
Yeah, what sort of build did you end up going with?
I went with the Inland Empire to start with.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good one. I would definitely go with Encyclopedia if I've ever played it.
I suppose.
Even though that probably wouldn't actually work considering the whole conceit of the video game.
Well, I went with Inland Empire because, I don't know, that seems like me. I've got a bunch of intuition and no feelings whatsoever. I do not experience emotions, and I do not know things either.
Total psychopath.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like instead, you get the Dale Cooper build.
Yeah. Give me that cherry pie, waitress.
That was a weird way. That was an interesting interpretation of that line.
I did not. I'm not an actor either.
Give me that cherry pie, waitress.
Did I sound that sleazy when I said it?
Okay, no, you don't sound. No. Of course.
I just wanted to get some cherry pie. I was actually asking for. Hell.
Look, if Warrant has taught me anything, it's that cherry pie is never just cherry pie.
Huh.
Yeah, that was the reference that I wanted to go with.
I think as Freud reminds us, sometimes a cherry pie is not just a cherry pie.
No, sometimes it's you want to have sex with your mother.
Yeah.
And then gouge your eyes out, I guess? Whatever.
Yes.
Look, I didn't choose the name. He did.
To quote Madonna, Sigmund Freud analyzed this.
Or to quote Eugene Levy, analyze that. It's very hot in here. Hey, remember that Eugene Levy movie where he's just like, you got me straight tripping, boo?
Wait, is Analyze That is the sequel to Analyze This, right?
There was an Analyze This movie?
Yes, with Billy Crystal and Adam Sandler. You haven't seen that?
Oh, God. Well, that was with Eugene Levy and Al Pacino.
So was Al Pacino the therapist?
Or maybe it's Robert De Niro. I confuse those two people for some goddamn reason.
Well, because they're both Italian, and all Italians are interchangeable.
No, no, don't put that on me. Don't put that evil in my life. Not again.
It's me, Mario. That's a direct quote.
It's me, Al
from
Pacino.
Robert De Niro.
Oh no, not again.
Joe.
I can't believe this is happening to me again. Why does this keep? This is more embarrassing than the time that
again.
Confused taxi driver with the television show
Shadow
Taxi.
defeated. That was easy.
I'm just like, yeah, taxi driver. You know, it had
Danny
had,
DeVito, Andy Kaufman is classic.
Danny DeVito in it. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. And they're just like, wait a second. People on the stream were just like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I'm like, uh-oh.
Now I'm actually kind of trying to picture that, like, you know, like Andy Kaufman in his Foreign Man character, say, you know, looking at me and saying, "Are you talking to me? I say, are you talking to me? There's no one else around here. Who else are you talking to?"
Yeah, these are a lot of very. I told you I'm bad with faces. We already
We're
established
going off the
this.
rails. I know what you mean though. Like I always thought, like Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Al Pacino. Like I knew.
Oh, I would never confuse Joe Pesci.
I could
with
never
anybody.
confuse Joe. That's a bad example, but like I understand like mixing up these like mobster people. You know, like
They were in some somewhat similar movies. In a certain way.
you know, like at a certain point, we think in archetypes. So Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise, they're both leading men, so they're hard to, you know, for me.
Okay, maybe not them.
What was that?
Okay, maybe not
Okay,
them.
yeah, that's a bad example. I don't know.
But like, I don't know. You could probably confuse like, let's say why am I trying to defend myself in this way? This is weird.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You're the one that prompted this in the first place.
I'm just making conversation. I don't. It's been 51 minutes.
It's like no. I just lit the fuse and I'm letting you explode.
Yeah, you started the fire.
Oh, shut up, Billy Joel.
Okay.
Billy
Joel. I wonder if Billy Joel, if you told Billy Joel to shut up, if he would do it. It's like,
Indeed.
Yeah, he would.
I mean,
No, he would.
he seems like he's nice, but then like that would be like a bridge. Don't tell me to shut up.
But then he turns into Big Shot, his alter ego, where he I don't know. I guess that's the one where he puts on sunglasses and then punches you in the face.
Is this a real thing, or did you just make that up?
Big Shot is from Glass Houses.
Okay.
Go listen to it.
Okay.
It's a good song.
This might be the most off the rails that this has gotten, I would say. It's hard to say. We do usually...
I've been trying to mix in off the wall reference for a while now, but I just haven't gotten it. It's because it's so goddamn hot. I don't know if you're sweating nearly as much as I am, but
yeah,
it's just like
I'm sweating like a pig, yeah.
holy Christ. Oh, it is.
It is...
No, it's like I knew it was gonna be like this after, because the sun. No, I didn't. I didn't know it was gonna be like this. Okay, I'll admit
You're
it.
just making conversation. Yeah, you just you know, for me, I gotta say, you know, the heat is important when it comes to sweating like this, but you know, I think the real dominant factor
what's the really important part about sweating?
The real important part is the humidity. That's just my take.
Okay, taint the heat. It's the humanity. Am I right?
Yeah,
Cannibals,
that's deep.
fellow cannibals.
God,
That was a mission in Fallout New Vegas, and I do not regret referencing it.
okay.
Well, anyway, this is not a difficult puzzle, even despite what you might think.
It looks just more like tedious than anything else.
Well, once you get rid of all the enemies, it's just like, you know how that goes.
I mean,
Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end.
so
That's Joker.
have you fought the final boss at this point?
No, yes, maybe. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
If that might have happened while we were talking before.
I'm so glad.
that I finished the game, and then I guess, I don't know, reset it, and we're back here again.
Yeah. Mr. Resetti, classic.
Rest in spaghetti, Mr. Resetti.
Okay. I'd never heard
It's
that.
just nothing. It's just nothing.
Is that a real thing?
No, that was me combining two words that sound similar for no
Rest in
reason.
spaghetti, Mr. Resetti. That should be like the title. Honestly, that's pretty good.
Okay, well, it's Persona 5, the Rest in Spaghetti, Mr. Resetti
Yeah,
episode.
that's like that. That sounds like
Holy Christ, this is what we've, guys, this is what this is what we've been reduced to. I was gonna call it the Sweatcast, but you know what? Whatever. That's
that is pretty good. Like I just like I don't know. It's like you just push to the limit. You just have just completely
It's
lost.
so hot.
You've lost the thread utterly.
It's just like I'm gonna have to peel myself off of this chair, and it's not leather.
This is such a mediocre game. Like it's not even terrible. It's just like I'm just watching this and I'm like, don't dislike
There's
this.
good and there's bad aspects of
Not
it.
a big deal at all.
I don't dislike this, but it's also like I don't want to go through this. It just seems so exhausting.
Well, I mean, I think that's because we've been doing this for 56 minutes at this point. We got, what, 4 minutes left?
No, I mean it seemed
5.
exhausting from the beginning. Like every time I'm watching this puzzle, it's like okay, and then you go through this, then you go through the set animation for.
Oh
5
man,
seconds.
you didn't even. I cut out 15
sure.
minutes of me wandering around in a circle. So just be glad that we didn't do this one live.
I am glad.
I mean, you gotta remember that I also did cut out all the battles. Battles weren't bad.
Yeah.
'Cause mostly everything was just weak to the psychic skill, so not really too much to talk about
Yeah.
there. Having Haru is advised. You know, the character
Yes.
whose dungeon this is. I know this might surprise you.
You know, it's one of those things where it's like they just it's a convenient way for them to help onboard Haru as a character. It's just okay, well, she's really useful in this dungeon. That's kind of a classic video game trope that no one talks about.
Does nobody talk about
don't know, they
that? I
probably
feel
do.
like there's many a dungeon that is entirely dependent on whatever the new thing you got was.
Yeah, that's probably true. When I said nobody talks about, that was just that was just words.
That was a lie.
It was a lie I said.
You just lied to me and our audience.
Something I said.
The poor
that wasn't
audience.
true. I wanted to see if I could get away with it.
I'm kidding. Nobody's watching to this point.
I think it's pretty much just.
We didn't need
glitzy
to say
at
that.
this point.
Yeah, it's I mean, you know, once again, it's just like we say this every single episode, but nobody watches this. Which is why it's entirely worth me, and I'm never gonna stop. Like it's not for you at this point. It's not for anyone.
It's not even for us. We're not enjoying this. This is terrible.
Oh God, no! We don't like this. We hate this.
I mean, we're enjoying like getting to talk, but like, no, because we're narcissistic entertainers, kind of like, or what would the word?
oh yeah. I mean, I love just hearing myself
yeah,
talk.
yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah.
I've rewatched this entire series several times because of
Uh-huh.
that.
And personally, I'm a fan of the arc that we're going on, where we're just gradually descending into madness.
Oh yeah, I remember somebody saying in the but that was the 15-minute cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember somebody saying in the comments, "This is my favorite anime. I love the character growth and devolution."
Yeah, exactly. I stole that idea from that comment. That is absolutely true.
It's a pretty good one. Lonely Cracker. I guess I'll give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Hey man, how you doing today? I can't hear your response, but know that I hear it in a sympathetic, sort of like empathetic way.
Is that a reference to that one band from like the late 90s, early 2000s?
No, I was definitely thinking about Bloodborne.
Oh, okay. No, I mean like the Lonely Cracker. I feel like that's a like there was a band.
Oh, that might be.
Yeah. Won't find nobody else.
No, I was talking
but
about the old ones being sympathetic in
me.
nature.
Yeah, I think he originally like the
you pretty much after anything I say, you can be like, "Is that a reference?" And I'll just be like, "Yes."
yeah. Well, I to go back to the ultimate reference, the one where we were talking about you know, like I was gonna reference It's Always Sunny, where it's like I can't do anything, like I can't read a book or like watch a movie unless I have some sort of stupid internal meme motivation, like you know, who, like, yo, you wrote a musical, like why did you do that? It's like nobody just writes a music for no reason. Well, I did. It's like, yeah, who are we versus?
Oh.
I mean, that is actually very true for me, where it's like the amount of times that I've listened to songs purely because they appeared in memes is
Yeah,
shameful.
yeah, it is. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's
It's just like, hey, when was the last time that you listened to Holland Oates not because it's Thursday and it's out of touch Thursday? And I'm gonna be like, Hey, when was the last time you listened to Sledgehammer because you enjoyed it and not because you were just listening to Neil Cicierega?
yeah.
And I'm just gonna be like,
Honestly, I can't think of Imagine by John Lennon. I like Imagine by John Lennon. It's a great song. One of my favorite songs. And I only think of it at this point. It's like the Neil Cicierega. Like, yeah, Imagine All-Star People.
But we haven't found any information.
Yeah,
on
I do
anyone
remember
else.
that one. Ah, damn it. But I mean, memes, man. Memes and the dreams. Thank God, I think we're almost done with
Yeah,
memes.
and I guess we are kind of Zoomers if you think about it, even though we're not like by age.
Not at all. I'm 69 years old. That's why. Why?
Why?
Send
Yeah,
out the
I'm
calling card and take his treasure.
42.0
You
years
can
old.
decide when we do